Hi there, I'm Nancy from Black Sheep Knitting. We are a yarn shop in Needham, Massachusetts. We're about 10 miles southwest of Boston. We do this podcast weekly. At least we try to occasionally. We have a blip and can't do it. But we like to show you what's going on with us, what we're knitting, we're upcoming workshops, and we do other stuff. And of course, I voice my opinion on things, and people know I'm opinionated. But we also like to offer tips and tricks. And I think I want to make it worth your while if you're so kind as to tune me in on a Saturday morning or whenever you get see the video. I want to give you some information that will help you in your knitting. I want people to become better knitters. I want you to become confident knitters. And the more information you have, the more likely it is that you will become a good knitter and a confident knitter. That said, I have one tip today, and I say this over and over again, but try to knit a little bit every day or every other day. Carve out 10 minutes for yourself. If you're, waiting for your kids to come home from the bus, or you're waiting to go out to dinner, and I have a habit of being early for a lot of things, so I have a project that I can just pick up and knit a few rows on. It's not something I'm doing very seriously, but it's knitting, although I do knit every day, I have to confess. But I do have a project that I can pick up and do when I have 5 minutes to kill. And rather than watching the stupid news, although I might have it on anyway, but at least I'm doing some knitting while I'm waiting. That was one tip for today. I think I have others. I wanted to tell you about the big thing coming up is our Greater Boston Yarn Crawl. And this is a bag. We'll give out probably 25 of these a day for the 4 days of the yarn crawl. And we also have some Greater Boston Yarn Crawl tote bags that are made also for the yarn crawl. I like to do these. I think they're fun. This is a nice, canvas, lightweight bag that'll probably last you a long time. So the yarn crawl begins on September 26th. It's next Thursday at 10 a.m. in the morning, and it's 10 to 6 on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Sunday, I believe it's 11 to 5. And we'll have passports here. Then the way those work is you go around each yarn shop and have them stamped, and you can enter to win if you've gone to X number, I forget it, it might say on the passport. Depending on the number of yarn shops you visit, you can qualify for grand prizes. You can also, at the end of the crawl and up until probably October 31st, once you've visited, you can see what that particular yarn shop has for its individual grand prize. And you can go back. I don't know if all the shops do it, but we do it. We do a prize every day, so you can, if for every $25 you spend, or $10, I don't remember what it is, you get a ticket, and you can put that in a jar, and then at the end of each day on the 4 days we pick, and then we have a basket of goodies. And believe me, the goodies are great this year. The vendors donate to us, and they've donated a lot of really nice stuff. The big grand prize for all of the yarn crawl, I believe, is a basket of gift cards from each of the shops. So that's also a good thing. So you can gather friends and go around, plan a lunch somewhere, go to a few shops, go to 2 shops, go to all 14. Some people do try to make it to all 14, which I give them a lot of credit, because there's, it's a drive around. But there are clusters of shops, so you can go close by. The yarn shops are doing special things. We have a shawl that's designed every year for the yarn crawl. This year it was designed by Jillian of Islay's. She's in Hudson, and I can't remember the exact name of her yarn shop. She's brand new, and boy, I got to give her credit that she had time to design a shawl. It's very pretty. So we'll have free patterns for that. And we might, no, I'm not sure if we'll have our own shop pattern. But we will have in the shop, we're going to have, Fjola has made a new line of bags, so they will be here for sale. And we also are having a Miss Babs trunk shell. Again, we had one in the late spring, I believe, and we have a lot more of her yarn, so that will be here. And we still have, from our earlier sale, we still have a fair amount of yarn on sale, so you can come and take advantage of that. So that's the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th of September. Did I say that? Is it the 30th too? Wait, and the 30th. Well, I try my best. Wanted to show you some of my favorite things. We have some things that have been restocked, so I thought I would show them to you. One is this amazing Sweater Care pop-up dryer. And this opens up to be about like this. And I could not, if you're a sweater knitter, I couldn't live without this, because yesterday I just washed some sweaters, and I wash most of my sweaters in the washing machine on delicate cycle with eucalyptus. And when I take them out, I have this propped up in my bathroom, and it goes from the edge of my tub, the front of the tub, to the other side, and I can just lay the sweater out to dry. And I don't usually have to block a sweater afterwards. If it's something with lace, I might block it, but a lot of times I can just spread it out. Well, this makes my life so easy because it gets air underneath, so it dries overnight, no problem. The other thing, and we don't have them in stock, but I'll have to get them if you haven't gotten blocking pads. We just looked, and we don't have the blocking kits from Coco Knits, but if you would want one, we can get them pretty quickly. They're really great because they fit like a puzzle, and you can configure them into, I'm right now blocking our yarn crawl shawl, and it's a long shawl this way. So I can configure the blocks so that it will go far enough this way. Another one from Coco Knits that I love, and I'm just going to open this up. This is their, they call it their Maker's Board Kit. And one of my customers was going to do something with a chart, and she said, oh, I'm going to have something to prop it up. And I said, well, I have just the thing for it, and it is this. Took me a few seconds to remember how it goes, but it's magnetic, and it has these great magnetic, all right, let me make sure I do this right, because I'm probably going to do it wrong. Yes. So it goes like this, and there are these little magnets. So this is magnetized, so is this, so it's metal. And you can put this, fold it so that this stops it. You can also put things down here. Because these are magnetic, you could put your little, I was thinking about this yesterday, you could put your stitch markers here, all kinds of things. But you'll put your pattern up here, and with the magnets it'll hold them. And then you can, even if you had a metal ruler would be great, because you can go row by row by row down or up the pattern this way. So it's a great, great gadget, I think, for doing any kind of graphs or charts. I think it's really good, or anything, any pattern that you want. So that's another one from Coco Knits. And then just a couple of others that I thought that people might not know about. When you need a stitch holder for sleeves, so they're waiting while you do the rest of the body of your garment, we always had those straight ones, which I really can't stand because it stretches your sleeve on the two corners. But if you have this gadget, which is a circular stitch holder, and I love these to use. Well, I'm not going to open it, but you can see that it's a round circle, and it has a needle point on the end. So you thread it through the stitches and it comes around, and it has this little plastic thing here with a hole in it, and you stick your needle into that. So it will hold your stitches in a circle rather than on a straight thing that, number one, gets in your way, and number two, stretches the stitches. So if you keep this in a nice circle, all the better. Two other things I wanted to show you. This is called Fix-A-Stitch, and they're like little crochet hooks, and they have hooks on either end, and they're different sizes. So people who like to fix their stitches, if you've dropped a stitch, to go down and pick it up with a crochet hook, this is a perfect tool to have, because it's got, well, there are 3 of them, so it's got, and it has different sizes on each side, so there's 6 different sizes of it. So I recommend it. It's called Fix-A-Stitch. And lastly, although I have a million other favorite things, is the Knitter's Pride Knit Pro. And this one is a knit gauge, and it has, you can, measure all your needles with it, and it has a magnifier in it. So when you go to look at your gauge, the stitches are magnified. So those of us who don't see as well as we used to can easily see the number of stitches in an inch or 4 inches, however you measure. So I have other things coming up, so don't go away. I have another favorite thing, and then I have a special thing that I think you'll like. But my favorite pattern this week is a pattern called Seoul Blouse. And I saw this, it's by Egyo Knits. She is a woman, I think, who's married to a Korean man, and a lot of her patterns, and I think Egyo, and I don't remember what it means, has something to do with, in Korean, it's a Korean word, I believe. So this is Seoul, as in the city, Seoul Blouse. And I saw this on a podcast called Danish Musings, and it's a woman named, I think her name is Hella. And she had made one, and she had it on, and I just fell in love with it. So she had, her main color wasn't these 2 yarns, but what I'm going to use is the Mode Rowan Alpaca Haze, which is like a ball of air, and the Herriot Fine, and this is called Villa Blanca. And I'm going to hold those 2 together for the body of the sweater. And this sweater is so drapey. I'm hoping I can achieve the same drape that she did. I don't know what she used. And then for the color work, I'm going to use the Alpaca 2 in black. This is navy. I picked the wrong one up, but I want black. And the Lana Gato Silk Mohair in black. So I'll hold those 2 together and do these. And I'm very excited to do it. It was so gorgeous on her. And she wore it with a black tank top underneath, which I thought was great. So that's in my, I have 2 FO or whips to finish before I can start this, but it's in my queue to begin. So then I wanted to show you, if Robin, if you can put on that sweater and come around. This has been a huge hit here in the shop, and I did a second order of it, and it's called Ruuno, R-U-U-N-O, by Nina Holubkova. She might be from Turkey, I don't know. This is Urth yarns, and the yarn is called Lanalpaca. We've shown it to you before, but here it is. I think we showed you the hat, but this is the, hopefully you can see this. Anyway, this is a size medium, and medium took 6 skeins, and I can show you some of the colors. If you can't see Robin in this, we'll post it. This is a black colorway, and the gray that, or slate, granite I think it's called, that Robin was wearing, and then this is a brown, and I forget the name, but I'll show it to you. I thought this would be a really fun one. So this is a sort of a milk chocolate brown, I call that. And then we have a sort of rose, dusty rose color. I think this is really pretty. We actually have some on the shelf, Robin, right behind, if you wanted to grab. This is the dusty rose. I think there's some white and a blue, a light blue right there. And a white and a gray, I think. So this is the light blue. It's called Opal. And this one is called Moonstone. And there might be a lighter one. Yep, there is. So this one is called Chalk. So any one of these would be gorgeous. This is a beautiful, beautiful. Everyone who has tried this on, I see something fuzzy. Hopefully you can see Robin. She's doing a really good job of modeling. Everybody who's tried this on looks fantastic on them. This is a medium. It does look good on almost everyone. I think if you're, and it's warm, you could wear it as your fall jacket. So we'll have this in the shop, and my guess is we might have to order more. It should be online maybe by tomorrow. I hope it's online. I think the new colors aren't online, but we have new colors. So they'll get entered into the system. So I brought my, oh, and I brought a little teaser along because this is a yarn that we had a few years ago, and it's called Echo Duo. Some of you will remember this, and it made fabulous hats, mittens, scarves, and it is one of the softest things you'll feel. It is a worsted weight, and it has 200 yards per skein, and you use a size 8, and it's 70% undyed. So these, I think I bought only the undyed ones. They're going to come in a few days. So it's undyed baby alpaca, 70%, and 30% undyed merino wool. So this is about as pure as you can get. So if you don't like highly processed yarns, this is a really, really nice one. So it's just, and if you hold it next to you, it's so, so soft. Wanted to show you my whip that is just about done. And I just have to sing the praises of this pattern. It's called Calliope. This is my second one. But this thing fits so nicely. And just at the bottom, I'm trying to make the ribbing match. So the ribbing on the, and the actual pattern had the ribbing going up to here. I chose not to do that. So my ribbing is about 4 1/4 inches, and might be similar to what the neck is. It's pretty similar, and I liked having that kind of symmetry of the ribbing all over being the same. So I'm almost finished with this, and it was an absolute pleasure to knit. I made it with, and I'm hoping to maybe get something similar to this in the shop. This was Chelsea Yarns Luxe hand-dyed, the variegated. It was called Surf Rider, and it's a superwash merino. And then I made the, and I don't know where the tag went. Oh, here it is, with Moondrake Fua Fua. But you could easily do a the mode that I just showed. This would be fabulous with this. This comes in a lot of colors. I think one very similar to this. So you can see how adding an alpaca or another color, look how it changed this. Though I would probably have loved it on its own, but I wanted to do this pattern, so I had to add something to it. And I think it really made it quite beautiful. So I'm very excited for it to get cool around here so I can wear this. And this right next to the skin, no problem. So one last thing I wanted to mention or talk about a little bit. I'm not going to go into it in depth because it's a very long discussion. But what happens when your stitch gauge is correct and your row gauge isn't? And if you've ever looked at a pattern, row gauges are, there are more rows than stitches. So the stitches are going across, sorry, there's some activity outside. The stitches are the width and the row gauge is the length. Now for most of the time I don't pay a lot of attention to row gauge. But if you are doing something, and we could maybe talk about this further, there are places where row gauge matters a lot, and the problem with it is you can't change the needle to fix your row gauge. Because if you change your needle, you're going to change your stitch gauge. Does that make sense to people? So you can't do it at all. What you can do is look, and where it matters is if you're doing color work, if you're doing a pattern, like this is the ranunculus that I'm wearing. If you're doing a pattern like this in your row gauge, though on this one, not a huge, doesn't matter that much, but if your row gauge is really off, your pattern could go down too far or go up, be up too high. If you're knitting something with straps and your row gauge, you have to do a lot of measuring to make sure, because if you just read what the pattern says, your row gauge may be very different from theirs. But also if you're doing like something with cables, something with patterns, you really have to pay attention, and you might have to do some math, and I suppose we could talk about that more. I don't have time today, but you might have to do some math to make your pattern work. Because suppose you have something, a tank with spaghetti straps, and you don't want it to gape down to here, and you don't want it to be under up here under your armpit. Generally people, well, I shouldn't say this as a general rule, row gauges, you can't really change it. It's how you knit. But Robin had asked, can't you just block it this way, change your row gauge or your stitch gauge this way to make your row gauge correct? I wouldn't advise that. I think you just have to do some math and get some advice. And this is a plug for, and I still don't have the date, for Giovanna's knitting math workshop. And I'll have her address that because it's important. You don't want your pattern to be way off because your row gauge is incorrect. And that can happen with cabled sweaters, with virile, any lace weight kind of things. So it bears further review. Let's just put it that way. So I hope this has been a little bit informative. Want to remind you that we still have sit and knits on Friday and Saturday. The Friday one started out a long time ago with, we were doing knit-alongs, and I don't know if there's still a knit-along going on for that or not, I can't remember. But the Saturday one, it's also continuing. So we have a nice group come in on a Friday afternoon and sit and knit with us at 3 o'clock. And then Saturday we have Giovanna is here to help people with the Rhinebeck sweater, the framed sweater. So those of you who are doing that, I think Giovanna has already done 2, which is pretty shocking. So remember, knit a little bit every day. If you're in a meeting and people can't see you, do some knitting. I think that that's all I have for today. The weather's turning a little bit here. It's cloudy out, it's windy, it's a little cooler. So that makes me want to sit and knit, although I have to work today, so that's not going to happen. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful week of knitting.